Hello, I'm Liz from Siva Dawn Jewelry, and this is a tutorial on how to make a beautiful rose, like one of these you see here. It's a simple process that I use to make these roses. You can put them on jewelry pieces, you can put them in little gnome villages, anywhere that you'd want a beautiful looking little rose. Okay, so we're going to make some little roses. We've got the colors we're going to work with. We've got a blade for cutting. We've got some tiles to work on. And we're going to start by just taking the color and put it through the pasta machine at a setting 2. So each of these are gone through the pasta machine at a setting of 2. They're pretty thin, pretty thick, still workable. You can kind of see what they're like. Just get something to like that thickness. And then what you do is we're gonna, even though it's thin, you're gonna just start pressing it and make it even flatter along the edges, and kind of like imagine the edges. See, that looks like a big rose petal right now, that whole edge. But what we're gonna do is tear off even smaller pieces and put them together like that. So this edge is kind of rough. And just make it a little smoother by pressing on top of it and kind of like bringing it down on top of itself, folding it in. And I think that's kind of thin enough. It really itself looks like a rose petal. So once it kind of looks like that, just like peel off a piece about like that big and start from one end, and we're going to make the center now. And what we're going to do is just like roll it in on itself and kind of take it from this end and push it in and roll it in on itself and kind of start forming a little bud. And like already it looks like a little rosebud. So what you could do is kind of just take this side now and bring it down, right down like that, and you have this excess at the bottom here, and you can really just like, you can either leave it there for now or just pinch it off and put it aside. And you have this whole area over here where you started pressing, so you could use that to make your next rose petal, which you're going to overlap the seam here. So kind of start from down there, go up, around, pinch it right there. And now just, you have a little rose like that. It's pretty cute. And flatten out the next area. Peel that off. And get it nice and smooth. And there you go, like that. Kind of pinch it at the bottom, but don't let it like just form the shape up top too much. Kind of form it as you go. You have all this excess on the bottom now, so just get rid of that and put it aside. And that, I mean, you could even call that done right there. And so if you wanted to, what you would do is, you still have all this excess on the bottom here, and you want to get rid of that. So take your blade and just go about however much you want. Press it like that. And now you just have the one little rose. And you can take it and move it gently onto your tile. Let's get those out of the way. And we can do the next one. So we could even reform this, get it a little flatter, put it through the pasta machine on 2. And just start, flattening along the edges here. And that's where you're going to use to form your rose petals. So you can go like this to make sure it's all nice and smooth. You can even start to form some or cut some out if you wanted. But really just start from one, start to flatten all the way up the side. Tear some off to start. Start with a small piece here and just roll it in on itself. And make sure that it goes up the petals as they go, not down. And then once you get a tiny cute little rosebud in the middle, you just bring it in on itself, close it, and pull the excess off, put it away. And then always go overlap petals and make sure that they're taller. So start down there. Bring it up. Instead of 4 little petals. And now the next piece. Tear it off piece to go down to overlap. Up. And you see that I'm kind of forming the petal as I go because it wasn't thin enough. And okay, so I'm going to cut this one off. And it's really dainty. I'm going to put it aside. Stand it up. You see those two up there? So this is what I've got left of that strip that I pulled off. This got all twisted up. So to do another rose with this color, you'd want to start and reform another long block like this one. But you could also do this if you don't have a long block, if you have a less amount of clay color that you want to make. You could also use a smaller piece. So let's do that. Let's do this color now. Let's put this aside. Let's run through it at 2. This one might need to be conditioned just a little bit more. Okay, so I conditioned that color a little bit more. I put it through the pasta machine until it, on number 2, till it just really had no rough edges like it did before. Just so we can make the petals easier. So just form the whole thing along the edges into a big rose petal, and then what you could also do is do a smaller piece like this. Cut that in half. because you're just going to pull off a piece and roll it in on itself. Focusing on always bringing the petals up, because by force of nature they will fold down. So start down there, bring it up, and overlap. You can always put little flourishes into the petals, make it interesting. Like bigger ones. Around the edges, and just one more. I think we'll finish this one. Just like that. I have some excess that I have at the bottom, so I'll just take the blade, cut it. Put it up there. Now, I like what happened to this one when I took the tool here and went through the middle, so I'm going to do that. Maybe not to this one. That one looks just fine as is. And now let's make a gray one. So let's take just a little less, like we did with the other one. Pull off a piece and have it turn in on itself like that. Bring it down to seal it off. Have it overlap. And this one isn't turning out quite like I wanted to, so I'll just call it right there. And just leave it like that. So that's how you make little rosebud roses using flat petals. And that's one way to do it. There's a lot of different ways to make these roses. This is just one technique. So I hope you liked this video and watched to the end. And if you did, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content just like this. Thanks.